Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be making some of these swim baits for a buddy of mine down in Florida that's going to be doing some saltwater fishing, which is something that I know nothing about. So we're going to learn all this together. I've got some plastic in the microwave cooking, and we'll get to this first color. Alright, for this first color, I'm going to use this transparent fluorescent chartreuse. I actually haven't used this color before, but from my very limited saltwater fishing experience, I've noticed that you can't go wrong with a bright chartreuse. So we're gonna start with this one and see. I think I'm gonna add some flake, but I'm not positive. I want to wait and see what this looks like before I add anything. So I added about 20 drops right there, and you can see that is very, very see-through. Really cool color though. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more. This camera doesn't really do this color justice. This is probably one of the brightest looking chartreuses I think I've seen. It's crazy how see-through that is. Like, I can literally see the numbers on the bottom of this cup. So I think, I don't really know what I want to do with this. I think I'm going to add a little bit more. I liked how translucent it is, but I want to see if I can make it a little bit brighter by just adding a little bit more. All right, and then for flake, I think I'm going to add just a little bit of this small holographic flake. Let me get my scooper. So I'm going to go with a 1/16 of a teaspoon of this small holographic. Oh yeah, that looks really good. So that's one thing about these super translucent colors is you're going to see the flake all the way through the bait, so you don't have to use quite as much as you normally would. I think I do want to add just a little bit more. So I'm going to take my 1/16, but only go with about half a scoop. Get all this stirred in. All right, I think we're good right there. I'm going to get this plastic back up to temp, and then we're going to make this first run and check out this new color. We are ready to go with this first round. I really hope this camera's picking up how bright this color is. It's almost like, I haven't used any of the glow pigments, but it reminds me of something that would be glowing at night. All right, we got those all done. We're gonna top off these sprues, and then we'll check them all out. This is the 3.8 inch fat swim bait from Fat Guys Fishing. Man, that color is like, it is the brightest chartreuse I think I've used. It almost looks a little green in the mold with that silver behind it. But then when you get it out, that is just super bright chartreuse, and you can see all the way through those baits. Really, really cool looking color. That is probably the brightest swim bait I think I've ever made. I really like how translucent that color is. When that thing, let me grab that bottle. Where it says transparent fluorescent chartreuse, that is exactly what that is. I've had this color for a long time, but I've never actually used it. So really glad I tried it out on these. So super cool. We're going to get our leftovers heated back up and make our next run. Right. There's round number 2, looking just as good and just as bright. So I think that first color is going to work really well. Now let's move on to some laminates. So we're going to start with our top color for this first one. And I'm going to break out this chameleon powder again that I got from Amazon. We're going to go with the gold, green, blue one. I have used this powder once before on the channel. If you guys haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below. So I'm gonna start with, if I can get my stir, I'm gonna go back to a 1/16 of a teaspoon of this Chameleon color shift powder. I'm gonna get all this stirred in. And I've mentioned it before, as well as probably every other bait maker. When you're mixing powders in, you just gotta mix really, really well. Make sure you get all that clumped up powder stirred in. So yeah, you can see the color shift effect. You can almost see all three colors right here as we're stirring. The gold, the green, and the blue. Now what I'm gonna do with this is I'm actually gonna cut it with, I'm going to go with a 32nd teaspoon of this silver Hobby Lobby mica powder. I haven't made this color before. I'm kind of just making this up. So my buddy that's fishing down in Florida, he said he uses a lot of like blues and grays for some of his swim baits. So I figured I would try to combine the two a little bit and see what we can come up with. Alright, I can't really see too much of that silver, so I'm going to add another 32nd teaspoon. I'm going to go with kind of a heaping scoop of it. And then I might add a drop or two of black to this. I'm not sure yet. Get all this powder stirred in and then see what we're looking like. So now I can really start to see the silver coming through. So I don't think I'm going to add any black to this. What I'm actually going to do is add a couple drops of blue. Alright, so I'm going to take some of this marine blue from MF. I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to start with 7 drops of that. Yeah, I think that is all I want to do to this one. So it's still semi-translucent. It's a little thicker than most colors, but really when you're using anything with a silver, you kind of have to get it a little thicker for the silver to really come through. And then for the belly color, we're going to keep it super simple with this one. And we are just going to go with gold highlight powder. I'm going to use an 1/8 teaspoon of this, but I'm only going to use about half a scoop. So I would use my 16th teaspoon, but it still has the powder from that Chameleon powder on it. So I'm going to go with some of this gold highlight for the belly color. And then the flake that we're going to add to this is actually a flake that I have never used on the channel before. So it'll be a cool first time for that. Alright, we're going to get all this powder. So I'm not going to have you guys sit here and watch me stir in powder for a little bit. So I'm going to get both of these powders completely mixed up. I'll get it back in the microwave, back up to temp, and then we're going to add some of our string cut chartreuse. We got all those powders stirred in, heated back up, and as I said, we're going to add some of this string cut chartreuse. We're going to go with a 1/16 teaspoon to both sides. This is going to kind of be like a twist on like a sexy shad color. Get all this stirred in. Hopefully that plane flying over wasn't too loud. Yeah, really, really cool. Like I said, I've had this the string cut glitter for a little while now, and I just haven't made one yet. So I figured, why not? So it looks really good on that side. And now let's try the belly color. So I went with the gold highlight on the belly color for a couple reasons. Since the color shift powder is blue, green, gold, it'll kind of play off of each other really well. And then I think adding the chartreuse to both sides will really just kind of tie it all together. That's my hope anyway. We'll find out here in just a minute. Alright, I think we are ready to go. Let's get this first run injected and see what it looks like. Here we go for our first round of laminates. Let's check these things out. That is really, really cool. So that's, you can see the string cut chartreuse, adding it to both sides, it kind of blends it all together. I think this is a really, really cool, like I said, a variation of like a sexy shad color. And what I want to show you guys, in the cup, you could probably tell the blue side looked super like thick and concentrated, but once you make it into a bait, it's really not, and it's still pretty translucent. I am really happy with that color. I'll try to get some better camera angles of this at the end so you guys can really see. You can see here that belly color with just the gold highlight is super see-through, like in direct light. We've got that kind of bluish gray top. Really, really cool little color. We're going to get our leftovers heated back up, make our second round, and then we'll move on to the last. There is the second round, looking just as good. I really, really like this color. I think I'm going to have to make some extras for myself to try out. If you want a 2-color sexy shad type color, this one right here is definitely one to try. So I'll see if I can get it on camera. With the way the gold highlight is in the belly, at certain angles, kind of like right there, it plays off of that back color and it almost looks like a triple injected color. You've got your top color, your belly color, but then that highlight playing off of the middle kind of looks like a third color at certain angles. Super cool. But yeah, there's our second one, and now let's move on to the third. Starting with the top color again on this one, we're going to go back to our Winchester mica powder from Counterculture. We're going to use a 1/16 teaspoon. So this is going to be very similar to our electric shad recipe with just a couple slight changes. All right, we got all that powder stirred in, and we're going to cut it with some of this Lure Works Carolina pumpkin. We're going to go with about 7 drops. Alright, we're going to get all this stirred in real quick. So that is all we're doing for the top side. That's looking exactly like we want it. And then we're going to add flake at the very end. So the big difference in this color and my normal electric shad is for the belly color, I would typically use a violet highlight, but on this one we're going to use blue highlight. And then I use the violet sparkle flake, but on this one we're going to use sparkle blue. So that's really the only difference, is instead of using violets, we're just going to go with blue. And for our blue highlight for the belly, we're going to go, I'm going to use the 1/8 teaspoon, but really only get about 3/4 of a scoop, not quite a full scoop. And we're not going to add the flake until the very end. That sparkle flake is very temperature sensitive. So if you add it too quick and have to reheat your plastic any, you do run the risk of it burning and scorching. So we're going to get all this blue highlight stirred in. We're going to get what we're going to do is we're going to reheat both colors, our top color and our belly color. We're going to get them up to temperature to where we can get all of our powder stirred in. We're going to let the temperature drop back down to around 320. Then we'll add our glitter and then we will inject. We got both of our powders mixed in all the way. We're just letting that plastic cool down. For the blue sparkle, and this is the 0.015 hex size, we're going to go with a full 1/4 teaspoon into both sides. Like I said, I'm going to let this plastic drop down to around 320. I'll add the flake to both sides, get it stirred in, because by the time you add the flake and stir it in, you're probably going to be injecting around 310, because the glitter will make it cool off a little bit. So we're going to let this cool down, and then we'll get to stirring up the glitter and inject. there is the third and final color. So you can see the blue highlight belly really shines when you hold it up from the bottom. And then from the side angle, let me get it out of the mold, might be a little bit easier to see. From the side, it's a pretty clear see-through belly. And then you've got that kind of brownish colored top color. That blue sparkle flake looks really cool. Like I said, really the only difference in this color and the way I make one of my electric shads is I use a violet highlight and violet sparkle instead of this blue. But overall, I really, really like that color. So you guys know the drill. I'm going to get the leftovers heated up. We'll make round 2 and we'll check it all out. There we have both rounds of those. Really, really cool. I'm going to get the sprues cut off of all these. I'll grab the first 2 colors we made and we'll compare all 3. And there we have all 3 colors from today. We've got this super bright transparent chartreuse. We've got our sexy shad variation and our electric shad variation. I'll get each one of these up and show you guys up close. You can see how see-through that is. You can literally see the flake all the way through that bait. Super cool, super bright. In the sunlight, this thing just shines super bright. I really, really like that one. We've got our sexy shad variation with that bluish colored top with that string cut chartreuse glitter all the way throughout. And then we have our electric shad variation with just that blue sparkle flake. It still kind of looks a little bit like the violet in certain lights, but really, really cool little bait. I went with the 3.8 inch swim bait. This is my go-to confidence bait. I fish this thing year round. I'll usually fish it on just a swim bait head from the spring all the way through the fall. And then all winter long, I've got these things rigged up on an Alabama rig, slow rolling across the bottom. I love this little 3.8 inch. This is the 3.8 fatty from Fat Guys Fishing. Really, really nice bait. It laminates extremely well. You get 5 cavities per mold. I really, really like it. Let me know what you guys think. Which one do you like the best? Do you think these are going to work? Obviously, we like them as bait makers, but we'll let the fish decide what they think. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate all the continued support. Let me know down in the comments which ones you guys like the best. Do you like the chartreuse, the sexy shad, or electric shad? Let us know down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.